figuring this out is going to be real fun. Hello. Today we're going to do something completely different. For one, this is not a voiceover, which, you know, is fantastic. Why did I do that? We are going to do something in the style of a vlog. Basically because I don't feel like doing a whole lot of editing. And also the art that I've been wanting to do for a while, I've thought about doing them as like full-on videos. I don't think I can get a full video out of these because of how small they're going to get. However, there's going to be so many of them that they don't really, like, putting them all into one video would make it a really long video, even if it's like they're all going to be super short and stuff. And basically, I bought this thing. Hopefully you can see this, but it's a frame and it has 13 holes in it of 3 different sizes. So we have this one, which is 3.5 by 5, the square, which I haven't measured, and then these little smaller rectangles. And we are going to put stuff in those rectangles and the 2 squares that are there. And the reason for this is because I bought these markers. They're super markers. They're like alcohol-based stuff that I found. It says blendable. No, they are not blendable. But I've been using them in this sketchbook, which is my new sketchbook. And if I can, but yeah, so they are really vibrant and I really do like them. However, oh hey, this actually gets a pretty good amount of space, which is great. I'm recording this on my phone because I don't feel like setting up my camera right now. I'm kind of mad at it because it's a brand new camera. But we are going to be using my alcohol-based markers, which I bought because they were super cheap. This is the guide I will be using for these. I should have set this up before I started recording, but guess what? I'm not gonna do that. I'll do this. Maybe? But yeah, we're in the art room for the first time ever, or at least recording for the first time ever, because I am really wanting to get this freaking show on the road. I don't have a pencil. Rizzy, what did you do with my pencil? Thank you, Rizzy. Yeah. So I'm going to do these as like a vlog style, which means that I'm going to basically just be doing whatever. First things first is we're going to cut this piece of paper. Can I see? Nope, you cannot see the bottom of this because, oh, do not do that. Please. For all intents and purposes. We're just going to cut this into, since there are 3, wow. There are 5 3.5 by 5 boxes, which means what we're going to do, we'll divide this into 4. I have been severely under the weather. Like, it's been bad, y'all. I do not have COVID. This house was tested twice for it, and we do not have COVID, which is great. However, it was a really terrible sinus infection, and I was out of it for probably 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm still coughing and sneezing, and I have a runny nose, and I had a really bad headache for like 2 days. August was just terrible. Like, everything that was going on was terrible. And just being sick the whole freaking month. Like, I got to go to Portland for a little bit, which is great. And see some of my friends, like my, gosh darn it. Oh, guess what? I'll just do this. Yeah, I got to go see my roommate's family, which they're cool people. I like them. And I've made friends with them, which is fun. So yeah, it was great to see them and everything. But now I'm all sniffles. Which isn't great. It's also really annoying because I would like to not be sniffly at all. But then, like, my roommate and I also got some really bad news yesterday. Like, not anything that's, like, detrimental to our health or anything, or just, like, life stuff, and we're dealing with some emotional baggage from that, so I really do have a headache. I should probably talk about what I'm doing. So I showed you the frame, and it has 13 openings on it. The openings, the measurements for those openings are actually a little bit larger than what the opening is, and that's because I want there to be like a little bit of space around the border to glue or tape or whatever I decide to do. And that is for specifically because what I'm going to draw in this space is going to be a variation on a theme, and that theme is cryptids. And not just cryptids, cryptid pinups. Because I've been obsessed with pinups like the entire summer. And I've also been obsessed with cryptids the entire summer. So, you know, why not marry the two and have wonderful things? So, I'm going to do these in order that I have them in my old sketchbook, which you don't get to see. So, and then I will post the sketches I did on Instagram with the finished product, or whatever. Yeah, I've never really done I've never really done vlog style anything before. So we're gonna be working in this rectangle, this one right here. You can see that. Awesome? Yeah, awesome. Sure. I've never really done vlog style before because when I talk without a script, it tends to be very stream of consciousness and I get lost very easily, which is probably why my Minecraft videos didn't get made very well, because I would be rewatching them going, what am I talking about? But yeah, I don't like saying a lot, but that's just gonna have to be the way that this is. I really wish I wasn't so sniffly, but here we are. So let's, you know what, I'll get started. And since I'm recording this on my phone, I can't really listen to music or anything like that. And because I'm using my own voice for things and not voiceover, I'm just gonna have to deal with this. So the very first one of these that we're gonna do, and these are gonna be, I'm gonna try to keep these as short as possible. So the very first one we are gonna do is Bigfoot, because I'm in Oregon, and you know what's also in Oregon? All the Sasquatch, like all of it. People are so freaking obsessed with Sasquatch up here, and it's actually quite beautiful. That's why shouldn't you be obsessed with Sasquatch? And doing this, the cryptid thing, like doing all my research for this and whatnot, I'm from Texas, like I was born and raised there, and moving to Oregon has been like this massive culture shock because Oregon has healthcare. And before anybody is like, Texas has healthcare too, no they don't. Texas does not have healthcare at all. It has Greg Abbott. That is not healthcare. That is a man who his idea of healthcare is killing everyone in the state so that they can't vote against him. So, you know, you do you, Greg. I just wish I was in a position to, like, pay all of my friends to move and live here in Oregon, because it's been a better experience. However, it's so freaking expensive. 12 gallons of gas is so much money. It's like $50 on average. Like, the cost of living here is massive, and I understand why it's just like it's not feasible. It's a pipe dream to live here, and the fact that I live here is amazing, because I never thought in a million years I would get to live in a place where all of my medications are taken care of by the state, by, like, I don't have to worry about doctor's visits. I can go to the doctor if I'm sick. I could not do that in Texas, and I had a job. I had 2 jobs that gave me health insurance if I worked full time. And with both of those jobs, neither one of those jobs paid me enough for me to have, not only have health insurance, but also have enough money left over to go to the doctor if I was sick. Like, it was bad. And, like, I still kind of have that mentality of, like, do I pay to go to the doctor, or do I pay rent? And I'm like, I'm not in a position where I'm paying rent right now. I'm incredibly fortunate to have the situation that I'm living in right now, because it's the only way that I can survive and do what I want to do, which is doing art. And I have been doing a lot of art, like on Instagram, and especially for myself. I think that was like a big thing when I was working full time. It's just like a lot of my art wasn't up to like my personal standards, because I was working full time. I was just exhausted all the time. And now I don't have a full-time job. My job is to cook and clean. And that's what I do. I also take care of the dogs. I hate how expensive it is to live in a place where the quality of life is just so much better. And I just want that for everybody. I want everyone to have the ability to live, like, to go. I want people to be able to afford rent and go to the doctor and eat and feed their families if they have any. And, like, I don't have a family, so I don't have to worry about feeding my children. Sorry, this went off on a tangent. This is what I was trying to talk about cryptids, and I got caught up with talking about just how the differences between Texas and Oregon. I mean, Texas is huge. Texas is a massive, massive state. And if you've ever tried to drive through that state, you'll understand what I mean. When you have to plan your trips through Texas as an entire day. Like when I was first driving up here, I started my day in Southeast Texas, which is the coastline, and I ended my day in Lubbock. And Lubbock is on the west side, more toward the north of Texas. And I was still 2 hours, was it? I can't remember if it was an hour or 2 hours from the state border. But yeah, I started my day in Texas and I ended that day in Texas. That's how big this state is. Oregon's fairly big, but it takes you from one side of the state to the other is only 5 hours. Well, because the state is so, because Texas, the state of Texas is so massive, there are so many, like, regional legends about stuff. Like, I'm sure if you go north of Houston into, like, the Woodsies area, but in the more woodsy part of Texas, you're probably gonna find, like, people who, like, oh, you know, like, I got some Bigfoot tracks when I was out hunting deer. Yeah, it was totally during deer season. You don't know me. This is a placeholder for flowers, so yes, this is this is how I draw flowers. Aren't they pretty? I'm going off of a sketch that I drew months ago. Yeah, I've been planning this for like a really long time. I just never got around to sitting down and doing it. Throughout the summer, I've kind of been doing various odd jobs around the neighborhood. Like I saved up to get a new computer. I'm trying to save up just so that I can have like a good amount of cash in my bank account. Like just in case, like I want to put toward getting a bike or an electric scooter or something so I'm not borrowing my roommate's car all the time. Like today I had to borrow the car to go into town, and by into town I mean I live in this teeny tiny little speck of land here, and then I go this way for 20 miles, not 20 miles, 20 minutes. This is north, BT dubs. And to a slightly bigger town. And that's where the pharmacy is. That's where the grocery store is. That's where the good... Why are we barking? I don't know. She just barks at whatever. Like, that's how small this town is. It's like there's one gas station. There's a grocery store. But all of the food in that grocery store is like triple in price of what it is here. So it's like it's more worth the gas to go to Newport once a week than it is to go to the one grocery store that's right down the street from us. Like that's how expensive it is to live in a tiny town in Oregon. Rizzy, why? I have no idea. She's just gonna bark. See, this is why I don't like not having a script, because I go off topic so much. It's very annoying. It's annoying to me because it's like every time I get distracted by something, like Rizzy barking at nothing, like she's just gonna do, then I lose track of what I was talking about, and it's like, well, you were talking about the grocery store, but yeah, I was talking about something before the grocery store, and we're not going to talk about that anymore because I don't remember what we were talking about. Cryptids. In Texas, there are regional cryptids. Thank you, Rizzy. One of the biggest ones in Texas is the chupacabra, which, spoiler alert, will be... Is this waterproof? Chupacabra will be making an appearance. Hopefully Oh no, not hopefully, but definitely, because I already have the sketch for it and everything. We are going to be using, no, not the blender. I don't want to use the blender. I want to use like an actual color to see if this will. It doesn't look like it's bleeding. Cool. Guess what we're gonna be using this fine liner pen that doesn't have a brand name. I have so much junk. Chupacabra. We're gonna be doing chupacabra next time. I hope you guys like cryptids, because I'm gonna talk about a bunch of them. Maybe next time I'll actually like do some more research and try to talk about like everything. But I am excited to do the chupacabra. Having grown up, especially in a very Houston is very Hispanic. It's also very multicultural, not just Hispanic, but like there's Korean, Vietnamese, Japanese, Chinese. There's a huge Filipino community. There's a huge Muslim community, especially from the Arabic nations. Like there are people from all over the world that have just come to congregate and make roots in Houston, and it makes Houston one of like the most beautiful places in the world culturally, just because there's that variety and the life experience of all these different people coming together. And that's one of the things I miss about it, because I'm not gonna lie, Oregon is very white. But yeah, there's a lot going on in Texas, especially right now, and without getting even more political than I already have. Like my friend just went to go see the Martha lights. I keep wanting to say Martha because it's easier to say Martha than Marfa. But if you don't know about the Martha lights, I would suggest looking that up, because it's one of the biggest mysteries of the 21st century. Even though like a lot of people believe they have solved the mystery, it's still a really interesting natural phenomenon. I am one of those people who really like the idea of aliens and maybe having like one of those experiences of like, holy crap, like this is an extraterrestrial. This is somebody from outside of our solar system that has come to communicate with us. However, I am very, very much so not going to believe people when they tell me that they've come in contact with aliens. And it's not that I don't believe in aliens. It's not anything like that. It's more that, to quote Fox Mulder, I want to believe. I want to believe in all of that. I just want to say that I also have a very healthy skepticism about me. And it's like, I need proof of things. Like if someone says, I just caught a Bigfoot, but then he bit me and ran away, and it's like, then you didn't catch him. Like, how am I supposed to believe that what you caught was actually a Bigfoot and not just like a bear with mange on its chest or something like that? There are a million and one things that it could be, and to jump to Bigfoot is disingenuous. Like, it's just, you want so much to believe that you caught Bigfoot, you caught the Magilla gorilla. I want to believe. I want to believe, but I am going to need some serious proof. I don't think there has been any that is truly, well, no, that's not true. The weird whistling, the hooting, like the orangutan hooting that people have heard in the forest and having communications with whatever is out there, that kind of thing. Okay, you know what? Sure, that's weird. That is really, really weird. But you know what else is weird? Vixens in heat. Like there are, I am city. I was born and raised in a city in Texas. Like that, I am gonna be the last person to go like, I don't I don't know what a vixen in heat sounds like. I actually know that's not true because I have listened to videos, especially with people who are talking about Bigfoot. And they're like, well, it sounds like this. And somebody else is just like, well, that sounds like vixen in heat. And they're like, what? And then they play the sound of vixen in heat. And you're like, oh, that's terrifying. Long story short, I want to believe. And I'm also not an expert in subjects like this. Like, I am not an animal tracker. I am not a biologist. I don't do lab in a lab science laboratory. I don't know why I said laboratory, but you know, just remember. And because of that, I'm willing to listen. If someone has had an experience, I am absolutely like more than happy to sit there and be like, I believe you saw something that you can't explain. And just because you can't explain it doesn't mean that there's not an explanation for it. There is an explanation for everything. It's just we don't necessarily have the technology or the knowledge in this current moment to solve the mystery of whatever it was that you saw. And because of that, the mystery lives on. And it's like, I love a good mystery. I love a good paranormal mystery. Like, I want to believe that someone's found a deer carcass that had all of its bones carved into shivs. Like, I think that's really cool. That means, like, the Bigfoots are tools. Like, that sounds really amazing to me. And I love to believe that there are things that we just haven't discovered yet. And that's why I'm so drawn to cryptids, is because it's like they are undiscovered animals. Like, they're officially undiscovered by science. I don't want to discount anybody's experiences. And I really want to believe. So, you know, I'm also really thirsty. Anyway, I would love to hear other people's experiences. If they have videos that they want me to, like, to take a look at, it's like as undeniable proof of Bigfoot's existence. Like, I will absolutely love to watch that kind of thing, because at the end of the day, I love watching ghost story, like real, I don't know if anybody's heard of Nuke's Top 5, but I look forward to those weekly videos so much. And if you haven't heard of Nuke's Top 5 and you enjoy a good ghost caught on tape situation, not that he needs like more advertisement because he's super popular, he could probably send some of that my way. I'd be really appreciative. So I'm gonna jump ship for a second. Let's talk about these markers. This looks like a warm gray. It's even called warm gray number 4. However, it's gonna show up as a warm gray, but it's not. And I'll show you why. Because when it dries, it's gonna look more like this color, which is a very decidedly not warm gray. Has a lot of blue in it and very little red or yellow to justify it being a warm gray. That being said, I'm still going to use it. The problem that I have with these markers in particular is that their caps do a very, very poor job of showing you what the color actually is. Even though that one isn't. Oh, it's this one. I'll give you 2 or maybe 10 seconds to guess what color that's supposed to be. Maybe 10 seconds is too long. Who knows? Did you guess sage? Because I didn't. And it is sage. It's a very light blue-green, which is what sage looks like. But the cap is teal. So, you know, you're going to be going, oh, that's a nice teal. Ooh, no. That's not what I was looking for. That's what I've had to deal with these markers, and that's why I'm really glad that I did make like a swatch sheet so that I could verify what exactly it was I was looking at. Otherwise, I would be spending way too much time just going, is this the color I want? 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 And like, okay, so this is wet. This is dry. That's different. I have no idea if you can tell, but I can tell. I can tell the difference. I think I paid about $10 to $15 for these markers, and there's 80 colors here. Like, that's a lot of colors. But they also don't have a very long shelf life. Like, some of them are already dried up, and I haven't even really used them. They still make fairly decent colors. Like, I like the colors. I just wish that they weren't, that the caps matched better. They didn't dry out immediately. I had to sort them. I did this because they came in a weird, that like the number, like they're all number or labeled as like W4 or Y8 or RBG, whatever kind of thing. And the problem with that is that, well, when I got them, they weren't even in that order. They were just haphazardly kind of thrown in. Like, I spent a good 45 minutes just sorting them and making sure like all the colors matched and everything. And as for like being $10 to $15, like, I'm not gonna complain about that, because one, you get what you pay for, and they're not bad markers for being $10 to $15 for like 80 different colors. And if you're not used to alcohol-based markers and you really want to learn how to use alcohol-based markers, I would recommend these. They give you a good idea of what to expect, especially with like if you turn the page and you see the ghosting and the bleeding, then you're going to find that there's a lot of things that, like, it's a good way to learn how to finesse your technique. Here's another one. E7 is pecan. Look how light that is. Where is it? Oh, yeah. That cap is so dark. But yeah, it's... And if you're trying to learn like a new art medium, do not, under any circumstances, buy the most expensive one. Honestly, my first foray into alcohol-based markers was Sharpies and Bic permanent markers, both of which I still prefer to these. Like, just because I love Sharpie and I know what to expect from Sharpie. And these, I'm kind of, I don't know why I'm so bitter toward them, because they're not bad. They're really not. They're actually pretty nice. I guess because like it says that they're blendable, and I think that was one of the reasons. But like, because like this is a blender, and the blender unfortunately scratches the crap out of your paper, and I don't like that. I want my blender to like be nice and like sensual. No, that's the wrong word. And they also don't layer very well, which, like, okay, what is another thing that I'm not super keen about. Talking, what is that? But yeah, I'm not super keen that they don't layer as well as like the Sharpie markers layer. Bic permanent markers layer pretty well. But you can't really get good mix of color, even with like trying to blend them, and like you're trapped forever with these 80 markers, 80 whole markers, which in hindsight that's actually a lot of markers. And they do have a good chisel tip, which is they have a chisel and a bullet nib, which is good, which I like the variety because it allows me to choose between doing like simple detail work like this and ruining the highlights that I just put down, but at least their effort was there. And I guess because I have that experience with Sharpies and the big permanent markers, that I'm kind of like, I want them to be better than the Bic and Sharpies, but they're not. But fine, I'll just have to live with that decision. You might think that I'm putting my highlights in really random ass places, and you would be right. When I draw, I kind of like, I don't really have a place in my head where everything exists in one capacity, but I have like, I treat everything as if I'm a photographer in a studio. And in a studio, you have lighting, and you want to highlight the areas that are more pronounced. So I kind of have a light coming from behind Sasquatch and also from the front a little bit. And some of that's not going to make sense because I am putting shadows in places that shouldn't have shadows. Only realizing that now. But you know what? We're here, and this is permanent marker. So that's just how we're gonna deal with that. Do you guys like cryptids? Do you like discussing cryptids? Do you like watching cryptid videos or ghost videos or anything like that? Let me know. I am very much so a supernatural fiend. I do enjoy my creepy crawlers. Don't know why I'm Russian now, but here we are. Just trapped forever. Who's your favorite cryptid? And since we're going to be doing 13 of these, 12 more once I'm finished with Mr. Foot here, who else do you think I'm going to do? Who else am I not going to do? Let's do a little R6 for the blush. Maybe too much. Oh, crap. This is why R6. Guess what? We're going with it. She's a salmon. Is salmon like summer or fall color? Will this show up as a... Let's hope so. Let's let that settle for a second. See if it actually does show up darker. In the meantime, we're going to get some flowers. So you might be asking yourself, or rather asking me, asking yourself, ask me, why cryptids? Why pinup cryptids? I'll let you know something. I don't know. This is just where my brain went when I saw that frame with the 13 different holes in it. I decided that I needed to fill it with cryptid pinups. It looks a little darker, don't you think? I'm also mentally deciding on colors because I don't really want to overuse colors, but I also want to keep my palette very simple. And I think I've already failed at keeping things simple. You know, that was R9. So I want the V6, which is slightly darker. That's a V8, like the juice. V6. Oh, yeah. Yum. But yeah, I tend to, when I'm thinking of colors and looking at what I want to do and like how I want things to look in various different ways, I wind up having to like, well, I know that's very orange, but it's supposed to dry kind of reddish, blood orange, as they would say. Ancient memes. What was I talking about? I think I was talking about my own personal color theory of like, oh, I just throw colors at the wall until they look good. And that's not a very good way to pick your colors for a project, because then you have really, really ugly projects. And yeah, I know that from experience, that you can very, very quickly oversaturate a picture with just millions and millions of colors that just don't look good together. But here we are. There's no going back now. You're trapped here forever. So I don't know how many of you know this, but I do have another gaming channel called Diva Plays Games. No, that's wrong. It's devaliente_plays. Diva Plays Games is the title of my Twitter for that channel, which I am never on. I very much so am trying to do both of these channels at the same time, which, like, I believe in myself. I don't have the best track record for that, but you know what? You never know. So if you, I'll put the link in the description box below, but if you like games, I am currently trying to play through all of the games that came in last year's Humble Bundle for racial justice and equality, and I am still within like the first 30 or so games. But I just finished playing Lena's Inception by Byton Games, and if you like fun, quirky Legend of Zelda side-scrolling adventures, then I think you would like that one. So you should go check it out. Just get some detail in here. It's looking a little too green. You see what I mean with how it doesn't layer? Where I just put down those lines and they're just immediately getting absorbed. Yeah. Yeah, I really should have picked the colors beforehand, but I didn't. So here we are. And I haven't forgotten about the flower necklace. I just don't want to think about that right now. And it's okay if these overlap just a little bit, because some of this is going to get covered up by the border, because I purposely made them bigger than the whole opening. Yeah, I'm not good at keeping inside the lines. Shove it! Shove it! Shove your opinions! I don't want to hear them. So in my sketchbook, I do have colors for these picked out, but the colors I chose, that I used, were my zebra mildliner markers, and those are vastly different than my these permanent markers. But at least it gives me an idea of like what I was originally going for. Maybe I could do full videos of these because I've already spent like way too much time. Maybe I'm not as, these aren't going to be as fast as I thought they were going to be. Now, to kind of do some variation, do R16, the boudoir, Bordeaux. That's not a Bordeaux color. There we go. And let's get this back out. There you have it, folks. Our first pinup, Bigfoot, is our first cryptid pinup. Ignore me while I forget how to speak. But is anything ever really complete without a signature? Where do I want to put my signature? I just don't want it to get lost. There we go. Ta-da! Well, I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. Sorry I stopped talking for like the last 10 minutes or so. But you know, here we go. Can I make this more? Because I wanted to make it look more like a kissy face. Anyway, here's the original from the sketchbook. Kind of different, huh? But fairly much the same. So, yeah. Tell me what you think down in the comments below, and be nice. If you're not nice, goodbye.